Guys, here's my little POV for the day. It's not going to be flashy. It's not going to be edited a whole lot. It's really just going to be my raw and natural take on particular topics that come to mind in the moment that I really feel that it could be of added benefit to you because they're of added benefit to me. And if you're watching a channel like this, if you're engaging in content of this nature, then this will be a topic of discussion that you too might benefit from. The topic today that I want to talk about is the idea of luck. And the fact that, this book that I'm reading right now is called The Compound Effect. And the compound effect basically is that in which, many of us have heard of, but basically compound effect can work in your favor or it cannot work in your favor, right? Meaning based off the habits that we partake in, based off the things that we're doing in a day's time, dictates the life that we ultimately end up with. And a lot of people don't like that. The compound effect is as a result of your habits, right? And the things that you do on a daily basis, right? Say, for example, one individual is working out and one individual is not. Well, we can dictate that the compound effect will obviously favor the individual that is working out on a daily basis, whereas the individual that is not working out will not, right? That is a result of their habits, right? And which is basically just compounding on a daily basis, right? And as a result, there's an effect to that. The better habits that we have, right, the better the compound effect works in our favor. Now, once again, there's with every positive, there's a negative, right? Although it can work in your favor, if you're doing the right habits, taking the right things and compounding them on a daily basis, it can also compound in your disinterest, meaning based off the habits that you're doing, you really have to take a look on them and ask yourself, is this pushing me towards my goals or is this taking me away from them? And unfortunately, 99% of people begin to compound things out of their favor. They open that bag of potato chips, they open that can of soda, they inhale it, right? And they don't even notice, right? And they do that over a prolonged period of time. And, 10 years down the road, a decade later, it really has an effect on them, right? They wonder why they've gained 40, 50 pounds. They wonder why they've gained 100 pounds. And that's as a result of the habits that they've been doing compounding out of their interest and not helping them achieve their goals and ultimately become the person that they were made to be. And one of my first things that I want to talk about is I need you to really take a step back, as I have been doing, and look at your life and ask yourself, are the habits and are the behaviors that you're partaking in compounding in your interest, or are they not, right? Because if they're not, you have the ability to change them. You have the ability and the free will in this universe that we live in to be able to ultimately change that sense of direction, right? You can't get to your destination overnight, but what you can do is change your direction, because what that's going to do is just as much as it's been compounding out of your interest, it will compound in your interest by a simple shift of direction. The second we look at our life as though we're analyzing under a microscope, and we look at all the little daily habits that we're doing, we realize that these little compounded effects and these little compounded things that we're doing on a daily basis are the reasons why we have these big problems in our life. And if we just simply shift that on its head, we can expect different results. We can expect the opposite of what's happening. So if there's a bunch of bad going on in your life and you have bad habits, well, when you shift those bad habits to good habits, you're going to have a lot of good come out of that, guys. We create our own luck. We create the essence of luck. And I hate that word because, of course there's luck, right? Of course there's, serendipity. Of course there's random things that occur, in our lifetime. The better you set yourself up, the more lucky you become. If you're compounding things in your favor, that's only going to help you become more lucky, meaning you're going to set yourself up for more opportunities to be lucky. If you're doing the right things day in and day out, well, opportunities will arise. And how I like to view life is that, you're preparing yourself for those opportunities by compounding things in your favor and ultimately moving in a sense of direction or moving in a way that will compound in your interest. You are setting yourself up for opportunities that will come. And oftentimes we call those opportunities luck, right? Someone down the street says, hey, you have a great body. You look great. You would be great in this movie. And your whole life you've been wanting to be an actor, right? Well, if you worked your ass off in the gym day in and day out and you compounded that in your interest, that basically set yourself up for that luck. That set yourself up for that opportunity for that person to introduce themselves to you and say, hey, you would be great in this movie. You got to set yourself up for that luck. You create your own luck. You create your own opportunity. You create your own serendipity of things playing out in your favor by day in and day out putting in those habits of goodness and positivity within your life, and ultimately looking at your life and asking yourself what things are serving me and what things are not serving me. And once we do that, we just become more lucky, right? Again, people don't see the hard work that it really takes to be lucky. People don't see the hard work that it takes for opportunity to arise, right? Those compounded little day in and day out acts that we do are so vitally important in our essence of being lucky, in our essence of having opportunity. You create your own luck. Don't think that it's just going to fall into your lap. Do the work day in and day out. Compound those good little, those little steps that ultimately make the big goals achievable, right? That's the only way we get to our big goals. We don't do it overnight. We don't do it in one big lump sum, right? You can't, expect to be 300 pounds overweight and then, in a week work out like crazy and do all these different crazy habits and then get where you want to be. You have to compound that day in and day out. And unfortunately, the people that aren't willing to see that pay off, right, within a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, they're not going to get to their goal. But the people that are listening to this video and the people that are willing to put in the work and the people that are willing to actually compound the little habits day in and day out and see it through, I promise you guys, you will have everything you want in this life and you will achieve every goal that you've set for yourselves. God bless you. That's the simple message I got for you. I did a lot of hand movements because I wanted it to be engaging, but I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.